What's up, ACL Nation? We are going to have the champion of the Galveston Gusher, Mr. AJ Sims, on the show this week, as well as recap all of those results from a great ACL season kickoff event. This is the ACL Throwdown. Yes, AJ Sims going to be on the show this week. I can't wait for my conversation with AJ. But first, let's recap the ACL season kickoff event. This Galveston Gusher really was an exhibition style event for regional points, but really it gave the ACL and the Southwest Conference an opportunity to test out the open format, and folks, it was a hit. Open format, for those of you not familiar, the Opens this year will replace the national events for the general public this season in the ACL. There will be a minimum of 8 of those open events, one for each of the biggest conferences across the country. Those open events will start with rounders, a progressive round-robin event in either singles or doubles. In Galveston, we were able to do singles rounders, and we may do singles or doubles depending on how things go throughout this season. Immediately followed afterwards by either singles or doubles or both in single or double elimination brackets. So a lot of great games. Everybody on the weekend got a minimum of 8 games throughout the weekend, which was just incredible to see. A lot of opportunity to play and compete. We started with those rounders, which led us first into our Bring Your Own Partner doubles. That was won the first night by Caleb Batson and Eddie Grindersleeve. Eddie Grindersleeve had a fantastic weekend. Caleb Batson, one of those up-and-coming players we've highlighted already these past few weeks. They defeat Scott Schultz and Anthony Rule in the finals. A great start to the season for Scott Schultz, ACL Pro. And then in third place, we had AJ Sims, who will be on the show this week alongside Josh Gross. So that kicked off our weekend. Then we rolled into singles play where, again, I already mentioned his name once, Eddie Grindersleeve takes the win right there. He defeats Scott Schultz in the finals, and then tied for third, we have Anthony Rule and Josh Gross. So Anthony Rule, not a pro, but throwing like one certainly to start off this season. Eddie Grindersleeve getting some great points to start the year. And that led us into our Pros and Joes event. So after our rounders format, we took our 8 top pros and our 8 top non-pros, matched them up on teams with each other, and squared off in a single elimination 10-round format, which was an absolute blast. In fourth place, we had Josh Gross and in third place, Josh Gross and Christopher Lopez, as well as Ian Cripps and Justin Ordone. Ian Cripps, the 10-year-old ACL pro, the youngest ACL pro in the history of the sport, having a breakout performance in that event. It was so much fun to watch, especially that game, him and Caleb Batson going back and forth. Just a great opportunity to see the youth movement in this sport, in the ACL. In second place, we had Eddie Grindersleeve and Jacob Foreman. Again, I feel like I keep saying Eddie Grindersleeve's name. Maybe this is a little bit of foreshadowing to a fantastic season that Eddie could have. He's really, I think, ready to not just be one of the best players in Texas or the Southwest Conference, but really to be one of the best players in the country. And him and Caleb Batson will have an opportunity to make a deep run in doubles in the pro division this year. But of course, the first place crown and the champions, AJ Sims and Chance Barber. Anytime you have a pro-am type event, you really need your pro to play like a pro, and that's exactly what AJ Sims did. I got to see a little bit of flop shot action from him, which I really hadn't seen previously. He may have had that in his arsenal, but certainly I wasn't seeing him using it to the level that he was in Galveston, Texas. And then in those pro events, your amateur player has to really play like a pro, and that's exactly what we saw from Chance Barber. A beautifully flat bag, tried to qualify to become an ACL pro this past season, just came up a little bit short in that qualifier, but something tells me if he plays like he played in Galveston, that flat, consistent, down the middle bag, limited his aggressive shots to only opportunities where he really felt like he had an opportunity to cash in big. If he continues to do that, I really think Chance Barber will qualify to become an ACL Pro in the 2021-2022 season. So congrats, Chance. Congrats, AJ. A great performance, and it was a ton of fun on the ACL Digital Network. You can rewatch that at watch.iplayacl.com in the ACL DN broadcast channel. You can rewatch that entire event. A ton of fun, and I can't wait for the next event. Let's get to my conversation with ACL Pro and champion of the Galveston Gusher, AJ Sims. We'll see if he's still riding a high from both that as well as his third place finish at the 2020 ACL World Championships. What's up, ACL Nation? I got the champion of the Galveston Gusher, AJ Sims, on the ACL Throwdown this week. AJ, first of all, welcome to the show, and man, second of all, a big win for you this weekend alongside Chance Barber. You guys take home the victory in that Pros and Joes event. How did it feel to start this 2020-2021 season with a win under your belt?
Man, believe it or not, that was fantastic, man. It felt great. It was a incredibly run event. I mean, it was very unique, very different, but man, it was extremely exciting. I mean, it was the type of event that, I mean, playing with Joes, that people that really want it and want to prove themselves as pros eventually, and just, being on that, it was completely different, not looking across, from my normal partner, but the same aspect, man, a kid that's hungry. I mean, it was exciting. So it was an exciting tournament, man.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that was really cool for me to see, was a chance that I got to get down there really for I was there for Galveston with the pro qualifying tour, but this was kind of the first opportunity that I got to see the talent in Texas and in the Southwest Conference from the top down. I mean, really, there's so many good players that are growing in that area. And so I really think it was cool to see all of these different up and coming players, and one of them being Chance Barber. And I really think, what was it like playing with Chance? And I personally think, and I know you probably feel the same way, I really felt like he, at times, we saw the flashes of some pro level skill from him. So what was it like playing alongside Chance?
So, man, what I would say, man, with us being, in Texas, with cornhole being, you're pretty much going to end up at all the events together one time or another. I've never had the opportunity to play against Chance, but I've watched him play. I've seen him play an incredible match against my partner, Josh Gross, in singles probably a few months ago. And we all knew, man, this kid is going to be special one day. So, man, he puts in the work. You see him practice all the time, and he wants to beat anybody. And I think, man, just seeing something like that, it helped us build some chemistry early on, because I was able to tell him, hey, man, I've seen you play. You can play with anybody in this room. There's no need for us to switch sides, because I've seen you with a little confidence. You can hold your side down. And, man, he proved that very well, man. He played fantastic. So, I mean, there was no chemistry before, but there's definitely chemistry now. And I felt like, man, we clicked on all cylinders together, and that's why we're able to, get home the win.
Yeah, and the confidence that both of you had, not only in yourselves but in each other. I mean, I think that ultimately could have been the difference in the tournament, and why you both took home the victory. So congratulations again, a great win, a great way to start the season.
Appreciate that.
Let's rewind a little bit here. So obviously, I think you had your breakout performance in singles at the World Championships. I think back in 2019. I believe it was the final chase. You had a good run, similar, but obviously, I mean, we got to go with the World Championships, and I don't think you would argue with me to say that it was probably your best finish to date as far as a national scale goes. And coming in third place, and what you did in that bracket play to go through the players that you did, had to come through and get the victory through the losers bracket. And I thought that was super impressive. But when you look back and, you look at that field and you were able to come in third place among that stacked group of players, what did that do for you as a player, as a cornhole player, in just your general game?
So, man, what I will say is that naturally everyone kind of wants, be happy with what happened. Be happy with where you went. You were able to get third, man, but it did something completely different for me. Me getting third place was, although it's excitement and the best place I've ever finished, all I could think about is how I was not able to pull it off, and how in my eyes, Jamie Graham, yes, number one player in the world. I believe that he's a fantastic player, but I play against the best cornhole players every single day. I was prepared for that moment, and I left a lot on the table. Had a fantastic game and got through the middle of that game. And I mean, just every time I rewatch it, it just does something different to me. But man, it's made my focus and my work ethic, even more. Because you think, you're prepared for that moment, and I felt comfortable throughout all of that moment, but it's just that I got to a spot where I just felt uncomfortable and made a couple bad decisions in that game, and then that's where I'm at, where I am now. I mean, kudos to him. Hats off. He's the unanimous, best player in the world. But I promise you, I'm coming for him. Like I can't look at that any other way than I left something on the table, unfinished business, and until that business is finished, I mean, I'm not gonna stop. And that's what I'm focused on.
I love the mentality. I completely understand that. I thought in the first half of the game, watching you just hit everything you needed to, and that was, it was. And if anything, I know you've watched it multiple times. It sounds like, but I think taking what you could do in that first half of the game, I think it just shows that you can compete with anybody, and so. I will say congratulations on your finish. I know you're hungry, but the good news is it's you got plenty of time to repeat and to be even better. And so I'm excited to see what you can do this coming season.
Yes,
you mentioned different playing with Chance because you're used to playing with Josh Gross, and you and Josh have been teammates now for a few seasons. 2019 Advanced Doubles World Champions. You guys, a fantastic performance just over a year ago. And then this season, not as, I think by your standards, if I'm going to hold you to your own high standards, probably
Absolutely.
not what both of you were envisioning as far as the season goes. And no, really my question is, what's it going to take for Sims and Gross to get back to that level that you guys were at in 2019?
So it was tricky, man. 2019, I honestly will admit, we were the hardest working doubles players in the world. I mean, we worked hard. We practiced every day, 2 to 3 hours a day, every single day. We knew that we hadn't played as long as everybody else, but with the amount of work we're able to put in, that we would have the opportunity to get the repetitions that people will get in 10 years playing, and only us playing in 3 years. So, man, with COVID-19 hitting, and I'd hate to use that as an excuse, we were not able to practice and get out nearly as much as we wanted to. I mean, we didn't get to play as much. We hardly ever practiced, and it showed in our games. Our connection wasn't there like it had always been, and it was a weird energy throughout this entire double season for whatever reason. And we talk about it all the time because like you said, we're our own biggest critics. And me and Josh have been having conversations ever since that, and we know that we underperformed. But the good thing is we started back working as soon as as soon as it dropped. I mean, as soon as the championships was over with, we went to the lab and worked. And now we're working. Now we're back practicing. Now we're back putting in the work. And I mean, everybody's talking about Matt Guy and Jamie Graham. I mean, I'm telling you, we're putting in work. I can't wait to face them. I can't wait to face all these other great teams that we have. So, I mean, I'm excited.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Getting back to the lab. I love that. I'm stealing that.
Yeah, you can use it, man. That's what we use. That's what we call it, man. I got text messages right now where Josh is like, "Hey, man, we need to get in the lab," and I'm the same way. Hey, get in the lab, man. That's how you perfect it. You gotta get
all right, I am officially stealing that phrase. So I will credit you as many times as I can, but I am stealing it.
Hey,
AJ Sims here with us on the ACL Throwdown. Last question for you, AJ. So, I mentioned this before the call that I feel like since I've ever seen you, I'm used to seeing you with that carpet bag, that Reynolds Pro Advantage. you guys obviously and a slew of others making the jump from Reynolds to BG this year. Had a chance to see a little bit of the bag selection that you guys have got this year, but as far as making a switch over to a bag that you have really felt super comfortable with, there are some players that I recognize as that'll constantly change bags. I never saw you as that type of player. And so making that switch this year, how do you think that'll affect your game, and kind of what are you doing to kind of combat that change that you're experiencing?
So what I've seen so far in the bag switch, that it's made me even better. It's made me a much better player. The resin in my bag is so consistent. I mean, these BG bags, the Vikings are fantastic bags, hole friendly. I mean, as you saw on Sunday, I had amazing flop shots that, I mean, and like you even mentioned in your, when you were analyzing it, that it wasn't an accident. I mean, I know exactly where I can hit the spots with those bags and they're going to fall in. You got some of the best players in the world, Eddie Ronishly, Josh Gross, Caleb Batson, throwing these bags and are still on the top of their game. I mean, we all have the skills and we know that it's really not the bags, but these bags are fantastic. I mean, they're hole friendly and they're amazing, man. And the guys that make them, Rich and Graham, fantastic guys. I mean, great customer service. They're the most supportive sponsors, I mean, so the switch, I mean, it was intimate, what I'm saying, for us to have that switch. So fantastic bags. I mean, the materials in it are great. I mean, I don't know what to say other than they're great bags, man.
Yeah, and I'll put it this way. If you've come off that strong season, that strong performance at the World Championships, and now you're telling me that something is helping you to get better, that is bad news for everybody else. So I
mean, that's how I feel, man. I just can't wait. I can't wait for the first national to be able to showcase, how much better that I plan on getting. You know what I'm saying? Third place is great, but again, I want that top spot, and I'm going to continue to work until I get there. I'm going to get in the lab,
All right.
until it's time to get there.
AJ Sims getting in the lab. I love it, sir. Thank you so much for joining me this week on the ACL Throwdown. Good luck as you get ready for that first national of the season. And obviously, when we get there, I personally can't wait to see how you perform. I know you're going to put in the work, and I hope you get everything you want to, man. I really, really do. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me, man. Lastly, if I can, plug my sponsors, BG, Texas Cornhole Games, Austin Airmail, Southwest Pro, Texas Outlaw Baggers. That's my sponsors. That's who will be sending us off this year, man. So salute to those guys, and salute to you and Stacy, man, and the whole ACL crew for what y'all continue to do to make us the #1 organization in the world. So as far as cornhole goes. So, man, we appreciate what y'all do.
Thank you so much, AJ. We appreciate it. And go get in the lab.
Hey, I'm going straight to the lab as soon as we get off the call, man.
Thanks, AJ.
All right, later.
AJ Sims, a blossoming superstar in the American Cornhole League. Thank you, AJ, for your time, and I wish you all the luck this season, even though something tells me you're not going to need much of it. If you want more exclusive cornhole content, make sure you subscribe to our ACL Digital Network. Watch.iplayacl.com. Only $5 a month or $50 on the year. Gains exclusive access to all of our linear television broadcasts from ESPN. You can rewatch all of those as they are uploaded, as well as a central location for all of your cornhole video needs. That's all the time that we got this week for the American Cornhole League. This has been your host, Trey Ryder. We'll see you guys next week.